Hi everyone, today you're getting a 2-for-1 review of Sonoff's latest product offerings. First up is a really quick one because we're finally getting the EU variant of the SwitchMan M5 Zigbee wall switches. Now I've basically already reviewed the US version of these, so go and check that out up here somewhere. But smart home enthusiasts of Europe will be pleased to learn that they're now launching in the EU as we speak, and these should even fit in your round wall boxes. So as I said, go check out my previous review of these, but a quick recap is that they are great. I think they are the go-to for smart switches because I'm a particular fan of Zigbee for connectivity, and they also support being wired up without a neutral, which means they're suitable to replace just about any single gang set of switches, as they come in variants of 1 to 3 switches as well. Next up is another new product which will be pretty familiar. It's the Cam PT2. This is going to be pretty similar overall in the user experience to the S2 which I reviewed last year. However, it has pan and tilt functionality. So it's got all of the usual features you'd expect from a smart camera these days. It is only HD resolution, but it has two-way audio, smart night vision, motion detection, human detection, a physical privacy mode, but it does also have a 360-degree panoramic view now with preset point settings. It can also record to a memory card or a cloud subscription service if you want to opt for that. And this camera can, of course, be added into Home Assistant using the RTSP stream as well, if that's something you want to do. All right, here we go. Cam PT2. As usual, we have the camera itself. USB-C powered, folded away into its privacy mode with a memory card slot there, and some accessories, including a nice length USB-C cable and some sort of mounting, and a manual and some screws in there. So now let's go ahead and get it plugged in so we can add it into the eWeLink app. Press the plus button and add device, and it finds the Sonoff Cam P2 straight away. Just going to go ahead and press next through all of these steps, and we now have it added into the eWeLink app. Job done. Let's head into the camera itself and view the stream. Great stuff. It's quite slow on the panning, but I think that means that you can position it nice and accurately. Oh, let's take that cellophane off the front. Much better. We can talk through it. Hello? Hello? Pretty quiet. I imagine there'll be settings for that. There's a PT2 calibration option, some preset positions. You can turn the indicator light off, you can enable smart tracking, you can rotate the camera's view. There we go, we can turn up that speaker volume. And you can also see the RTSP settings in here, which we're going to want to turn on and make note of. But before we go any further, I'm going to show you a super secret way of getting this camera into Apple Home using a program called Scrypted. Scrypted is a great lightweight piece of software that bridges cameras from one ecosystem into another. So one of the many ecosystems that it supports is, of course, Apple Home. This will allow us to take the RTSP stream from this camera and bridge it into Apple Home by scanning a QR code like you would any other camera in Apple Home. Let's go take a quick look at how it's done, but for the purposes of this video, I'm going to assume that you can figure out how to install Scrypted itself on some hardware like a Raspberry Pi, which is always powered on and on your network. So let's go and take a quick look at how that's done. Like I said before, I'm going to assume that you can get this far, which is to the Scrypted web user interface. Once you have the RTSP plugin installed, which is also really easy to do, you can go ahead and add a device like an RTSP camera I've thrown this in my boys' room underneath a shelf so I can get a better view of where they are anywhere in their bedroom. The username is typically RTSP, and you want to enter the stream URL from the camera, but you don't need the username and password on the beginning because we're entering them here. And hopefully that should do it. At this point, I was pretty sure I should see a preview of the camera on the right hand side. So I spent a little while looking around at the logs to see if there was any error that I had missed. And it turns out that all I needed to do was enable the snapshot extension, which would go and get a snapshot from the camera and show it on the right hand side. Okay, there we go. And once we have finally got all of the extensions enabled, like the snapshot plugin, we see a snapshot of the camera here. And if we click on it, we get a live view of what the camera is trying to do and track. So it's seeing motion there on the blind and it's tracking that. If I go and walk in there, it should try and track me. Yeah, well, close enough. Now we need to demonstrate how to add it to Apple Home. So once you have it enabled in the HomeKit extension, you should be able to go to the HomeKit section. You want to advertise this to HomeKit as a standalone accessory rather than through the Scrypted HomeKit bridge, because that is way more reliable in that way. So if I save this and refresh this window and go down to HomeKit, we usually get a pairing code. Voila. Sometimes you might need to reload the HomeKit plugin once you've enabled this. So if I go to Add Accessory and I scan that code, add it to Apple Home, it's going to say it's an uncertified accessory. Add it to my boys' room. And then we just give it a sensible name. And voila. I should now have a second camera in my boys' bedroom. I've got the boys' camera ceiling, which is my old fixed camera, which I've moved up to get a better view of on their top bunk. And the boys' camera shelf, which will, unfortunately, in Apple Home, not have any controls to move the camera. But obviously, I can move the camera in the eWe Link app, and it will update the view in Apple Home. And since I've enabled the human tracking, when my kids are in there, it should track them around the room, even if I'm just looking at it in Apple Home. And you can, of course, add preset positions that the camera can quickly jump to, like favorites, essentially, by navigating to that position and tapping the presets and tapping the preset number and giving it a name. And then you can head over to another location and set that to preset 2 and quickly jump between these locations from the app. So with all of that said and done, we now have this absolutely fantastic value smart camera integrated into Apple Home, just like any other camera. Unfortunately, we do lose out on the manual control of the camera's location, but with the smart tracking turned on, you pretty much don't need to worry about that. Although the smart tracking wasn't the best that I have seen, it does the job and allows me to see where my kids are anywhere in my bedroom. If you would like to pick one of these cameras up, the links, as always, will be on my website. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see future reviews. And please support the channel in any way that you can, whether that's hitting the subscribe button, buying one of these using the links on my website, or subscribing to my Patreon or other subscription services on YouTube and TikTok. Once again, thank you for watching, and as always, remember, home is where the smart is.